You might be wondering what this strange place is. This might look like a weird, complicated nuclear facility, but in reality, it's actually Cold Garden Brewery right here in Calgary. I joined Maggie Grant and Blake Belden at Cold Garden to see what the process of making beer is like. Maggie Grant is a brewer here at Cold Garden. She tells me what they're brewing and gives me a rundown of what they're doing today.
I get in here at like 5:22 in the morning exactly every single day. We're brewing a tiramisu pastry stout. The night before, Anderson, the other brewer, he mills all the grain, and I basically fill up the mash tun with hot water, grains, throw it all in, stir it, and then depending on the recipe, that usually sits for about an hour. And in that time, you pasteurize the heat exchanger, which is just basically make sure that they're all sanitary, and then sanitize the tank that you're going to be brewing into. Today it was like a weird day. So we totally took out sparging, like rinsing the grains. So what we did was we're making this giant beer that has a really high ABV.
Belden told me how they're aiming for the stout to be around 10% ABV, which stands for alcohol by volume.
And we're using a ton of grains and a little bit of water to get a really concentrated wort. And instead of washing the grains at all, we're just slowly letting all of the wort drain out to boil.
You'll usually pair beer with relaxing after a long day of work or studying, but there's nothing relaxing about what Grant does here.
A good day of brewing looks like only having to brew that day. My least favorite days are when we have to brew something, we have to keg something, we have to push a couple beers, which is like cellaring. Everything that's not brewing, moving stuff around is cellaring. So when you do both of them at the same time, it sucks. So a really good brew day is, nothing gets stuck in the mash tun, you're only brewing, you've had a good sleep, you can put some music on.
The owner, Blake Belden, says how Cold Garden used to just be a far-fetched uni student's dream.
I was 18 years old, and all these adults are asking me what business are you going to start, and I was like, I don't know. And at that point, my priorities were, partying, drinking beer, playing sports, like anything like an 18-year-old kid, and going to school. And it kind of just came out of that. I said, well, I like drinking beer, like maybe I'll open a brewery one day. And it's one of those like pie in the sky ideas that like everybody says at some point in their life, and it never really becomes a reality. But I just kind of, it stayed in the back of my mind. I grew up a little bit. I started maturing, and I started saying, well, I don't drink as much, but I'm fascinated with beer culture,
As cliche as it is, dreams are dreams for a reason, and Belden is proof that you should never give up on that.
So as I got older, it just kind of like cemented it that like this was my goal. I was going to start a brewery. And when you say something long enough, it kind of becomes part of your identity.
Belden was excited for other breweries, but as the days were leading up, he couldn't help but get cold feet.
And I was nervous. Like there was a couple other breweries that opened before us, and everybody in the industry is really supportive. So whenever anybody opened, especially back then, everybody went like, oh hey, and cheering. And I remember going to one opening, a month and a half before we opened. There wasn't a lot of people there. And
when you're worried, anyone can understand how hard it is to see that glass half full. But when Belden's brand new business was on the line, no wonder he was tense.
And I was like, I got very scared. I was like, oh no, is this going to work? Because I just thought that everybody in the city was excited about breweries as we were, but that wasn't the case. Nobody even knew what they were yet, right? So we were very nervous.
Just in the nick of time, Belden would finally get to see his work and worries pay off.
And then we just said, screw it, we got to open. And we set our date. It was January 27th, I believe. We posted about it on social media. We told all our friends, said, tell all your friends. And we opened. And it was crazy that first night. Like there was, 100 people in here probably. And we did really well. We sold a lot of beer. It was disastrous because we had no idea how to organize. We had one person behind the bar. It was a total gong show, but it was like a success in terms of the people wanted it, and it just never slowed down. So that was the moment. I remember sitting here and I was exhausted because I'd been brewing and doing my job, and it was just to sit there and be like, oh shit, we might have something here,
For now, Belden's next mission is to keep up with the high demand for beer, and he plans to expand Cold Garden's patio with parties and DJs in mind, so Cold Garden can still be the unique place it always has been. For the Calgary Journal, I'm Connor Balsille.